Is this the real calculator now, or the real type, the real
This is
time?
this is for real. Yeah.
I like it.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Game Changers Show. I'm your host, Mike McKay, and this week on the show we have Scott Bauer. Scott, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, man. So, for the people who don't know you, could you tell us a little bit about how you got into the real estate business and how that's led you to where you are today?
Oh, that's a long time ago, and that's a long story, but I'll try to keep it short. I moved here in 2011 with another company. That got me from Iowa, where I'm originally from, and it was an amazing corporate job that I moved here for. And the challenge was I can't do the corporate thing. So I lasted about 9 months with him. And actually, uh, the story goes back further than that. But I knew the president of this company. It was 7,500 people in this company, and I knew the top guy. He was my mentor, friend. Ultimately, is the guy that got me to Phoenix. And I was dating a girl at the time, and she was in property management and apartments. She said, I was complaining about the corporate thing, and she's like, "Why don't you just go get your real estate license?" Like I was in sales, but corporate America sales,
Mhm.
and so I was like, okay, she's probably not wrong. Like it's still sales. Let's do it. So went to real estate school, got my real estate license, and that's how it all started. Started as an agent in 2012, I think it was. Yeah, 2012 as an agent. Um, did 6 transactions my first year, which was I made no money. Just to let you know, I made zero money. I mean, the Keller Williams Realty, which is who I worked for, I did 2.2 million in gross sales, and they
Mhm.
were hooting and hollering like I did. I was crushing it, and I was looking at my bank account like I'm confused because I don't have any money, and I don't know why you're so excited because I was not excited. And
Mhm.
at the time, after being an agent for about a year, I joined the ASRIA, which is called the Arizona Real Estate Investors Association, and
Mhm.
learned there are other ways to make money in real estate other than being an agent. And that was kind of
Mhm.
what introduced me into apartment syndications and ultimately got me into the wholesaling game that I'm in now.
Yeah. When did you decide to actually make that switch out of being an agent to the investment side of the business?
Almost instantly. Like I went there, actually. I mean, I absolutely hated it. So the story was, went to Asria, went to a few meetings, and a guy came up on stage and did a presentation. His name is Dave Lindahl. Dave Lindahl is a massive apartment mogul. He owns over 10,000 units today. And he got up there and he said, "Why would you buy one house? And because if you buy one house and rent it out, if the person moves out, you have no income. Why don't you instead go partner with a bunch of people to raise money, a bunch of other investors raise money, buy a 100 unit apartment complex? Because then
Mhm.
if 10 people move out, it's okay. You still got 90 others that are paying you." And I was like, dude, this guy is brilliant, right? Because it's that easy. No, it's not
Sure.
that easy. But that's then I actually I had to borrow money from my mom to hire Dave Lindahl to coach me and get me into the apartment syndication space. And he had a student that lived here in Arizona and had gone through his program, and so I ended up reaching out to his student because I wanted to see his experience and understand more about apartments. And he after a long time of trying to get him to go to coffee with me, he finally agreed. And when we went to coffee, he was like, "Apartments are great, but I have this other thing called wholesaling houses that I want to start doing." And he's like, "You already been an agent, you already know what you're doing. Do you want to come work with me and we'll wholesale some houses?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know what that is, but I guess let me learn." And so
Mhm.
he had some friends that lived up in Utah that were crushing it. He was part of Collective Genius, which is a mastermind group. And
Mhm.
so I was blessed enough to go to that mastermind with him a few times. And anyways, I ended up going up to Utah and shadowing his friends that had a wholesale business up there, went on some appointments and whatever. And then I came back down here to Phoenix, and this guy funded all the marketing and I went on all the appointments and I locked up all the deals, and then I sold all the deals, and that was the start of my kind of wholesaling career.
Gotcha. And then, over the course of the years, obviously that was, back in 2011, 2012. Like, what would you say, or maybe one or two of the big events that happened that kind of changed your business from then to
Oh,
now?
yeah. Well, so there's a couple different times. So I worked for this other guy, like I said,
Mhm,
for about 6 months. And the problem was he was paying me 13% of gross revenue on the deal, right?
mhm,
But I was doing all of the work. He was paying for the marketing, but I was going on the appointments, I was locking up the deals, and I was going to find the buyers that we were going to go sell it to. I was I was doing all the work. And so he was making the majority of the money and I was doing the majority of the work, which made no
mhm,
sense. So in June of 20, let's see, I think it's 2014. Um, I told him that I gave him two options. I said, hey, man, either I'm your partner and we're 50-50 partners, or I'm out. And at that point, he was like, well, I don't want a partner. So I guess you're out. And I said, okay. Well, for me at that point, I really didn't have any money still.
mm,
I'd make some money wholesaling houses with him, but not very much. I actually cashed in the little 401k I had with the previous employer, and I went off on my own. That was a major turning point of my business because now it all went on to me. And
mhm,
so, what are kind of the big things that I did at that point to get me ahead was number one, most important thing that I did was I hired a coach.
mm,
Okay. Now I hired a coach and I joined another mastermind group. Why? Because I knew that hiring a coach was going to get me ahead because I was going to hire somebody that had already been there and done it that was going to help me to get there. Right. It was kind of a backstop for me. And
mhm,
I joined this mastermind group because I wanted to be around other people that were in the space that could ultimately help me as well. Because,
mm,
you know, if it's proximity is power. When you're in the proximity of other people that are doing it, you're going to naturally do it as well. So maybe the next question you're going to have is, well, how'd you have money for that? Right. That may be your next question. And I think this
mhm,
is something that your listeners might find intriguing as well. Because at this point, like I said, I didn't really have that much money.
mhm,
But I did know how finance worked. And
mm.
I knew that I kind of knew how credit cards worked, right? And so what I did was I went and applied for 10 credit cards at the same time. I had great credit thanks to my parents teaching me about credit at a young age. Had great credit and I got approved for all 10 credit cards. Um, when they sent me the card in the mail, and they still do sometimes, but they used to send 3 convenience checks. Okay, so you can write a check just like a credit card swipe, and they operate the same way. So what I did is when they got the card in the mail, I wrote myself, my own business, a check for 90% of the allowable limit on the card, and I
Yeah.
deposited it in a checking account. Okay. The reason why I did that is because these cards came with 12, 18, or 24 months of 0% interest. So I knew
Mm,
that I had 12, 18, or 24 months before I had to pay any of those principal dollars back. And if I couldn't figure out how to do this business in 12, 18, or 24 months, I probably shouldn't be in the business. Right.
yeah.
And so I was 24, 25 years old. Wasn't married, no kids at the time. So I was like, you know what? I'm going all in and I'm going to figure it out. And so I ended up putting $90,000 of cash into my checking account. That paid for the coach, that paid for the mastermind, and that paid for my marketing because I knew how to market. And so direct mail has always been my bread and butter. That still is my bread and butter today. And that's exactly what I did with that money is I spent it on direct mail marketing to go after motivated sellers to turn into deals.
Yeah. So I
And
assume,
so
since we're here, that worked out for you, right?
Oh, well, yes. Yeah. Matter of fact, that worked out really, really, really well. We ended up 4Xing in my first year. So I took out 90 grand. We did about
Yep.
$450,000 in top line revenue in my
Nice.
first year, which was amazing. Right.
Yeah.
And so that was just the beginning. Thankfully, a lot of it has to do with timing, right? In Arizona,
Mhm.
we were just getting out of the big housing crash. 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, the market was going up. it was going up. We weren't crashing. It was going up. There was opportunities there. There was a ton of opportunity available. And so, thankfully for me at that time, not only did I have the support around me with the mastermind group, with the coach and all that, but I had a rising tide, as they would say, right?
Sure.
Rising tide raise, raises all boats. And
Yep.
so, um, there's definitely a timing factor in there with that, but it was also, I mean, my head was down. I grinded every day. I mean, I worked
Mhm.
every day at the beginning because I had nothing to lose, but I had everything to gain. And I had to work for it.
Yeah. So this, I always think kind of to back then, right? And I was not in the real estate business back in 2011 to 2015 time frame. But did you run into a lot of situations where a lot of the homes that people want to sell were just there was no equity because every at the bottom had kind of fallen out, or had things kind of shifted by that point?
So it's interesting that you bring that up because we're actually seeing that today.
Yeah,
Today more
that's
than I
why
did.
I'm asking actually.
Yeah, we see that a lot more today, where people are just do not have equity. They don't.
Yeah.
They want to sell their house. They have to sell their house, but they can't sell their house because
Mm,
there is no equity. And at the time, back during those times in my come up years, it wasn't really the case. I mean, the other
mm,
thing was who I was going after. So the target that I always go after is high equity, free and clear people. So
mm,
I'm not even getting in front of people that didn't have equity, right?
mm,
Um, a lot of times when you're direct to seller marketing, you have to make sure that it's targeted to the correct people, because you can spend all the money in the world marketing towards people, but if you're not hitting the right people to market to, then you're just wasting your money. I mean, you
mhm,
really are.
mhm.
And so even today, I mean, we are coming across more and more and more people that just they can't sell. They're under. Matter of fact, I'll give a quick example of a deal. We just had a deal as a townhome. Seller contracted with me at 165,000.
Mhm.
It was probably worth 240 fixed up. I know it was
Mhm.
240, 245 fixed up, or 250. And anyways, we get the title report and she owes 310 to the lenders,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like, one, she was trying to play the game. Apparently, she had no idea. She did have an idea, but she tried. She I don't know what she thought, that we weren't going to find
Yeah.
out the truth. But that's we've seen that quite a few times, and that's an extreme example.
Mhm.
But there's lots of people that we talk to today that there's just barely any equity, because if you bought your house really at any time in the last 5, 6, even 7 years, you might not have a lot of equity.
Yeah.
You might have tapped out. You might have refinanced during COVID for a lower rate, but you refinanced at max value, and now all of a sudden, the prices haven't gone up a lot since then. They did during COVID, but you might have maxed that out. You might have taken out a HELOC, right, and
Mhm.
taken any extra equity you had out, and so that's what we're seeing today.
Yeah. So, besides obviously making sure that you're focusing on people with high equity and or free and clear, right? Is there anyone else who you prefer to market to when you're going direct to seller?
Nope, not at all. Like, we don't go after any of the, like, I'm not going after pre foreclosure. I'm not going after, like, the typical distress points that people will. Why? Because I just don't think that the niche has been too small, right? So, like, it's been too
Mm,
small. There hasn't been enough people to market towards, where and maybe that's a fallacy, right? That could be something that's wrong. We've tried. I add in there distress points within what we're marketing to, but to just go after those one distress points, what happens is all you do is shrink your list. You
yeah.
shrink the amount of people you market to, but then guess what? You're also shrinking the amount of opportunities that you have to convert somebody, right?
Yeah.
It's like people that only go after non-owner occupied properties, or properties that are rentals for somebody. Well, what about the person that's lived in their house for 35 years, 40 years? They're now empty nesters. The house needs a lot of repairs, and they just don't want to deal with a realtor, right? You're completely missing that person if you completely disregard owner occupied properties. And so, it's with my marketing strategy, what I do, direct mail, sometimes you have to go a little bit wide in order
Mm,
to, to get what you need.
yeah. What's your definition of high equity? What percentage are you going after?
I'm going 75 to 100% is what I'm going for.
75 to
So
100. Okay. So pretty high.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty high. And there's other markers too. If I find somebody who's over the age of 60, they're most likely going to have pretty high equity. It might not be 75, but it's probably going to be over 50, and they're going to have room to negotiate. And so
Hmm.
there's little things like that one little metric of them being over the age of 60 might be the difference, right? That might be the person that I need to be after, right?
Sure.
Because sure, they might not have 100% equity, but they're going to be less likely to want to get up on the roof and fix it themselves, or like to go and deal with the headaches that inherently come in a house. They would
Yeah.
rather just take the easy route. They really
Yeah.
would.
I've actually found that the people who I speak with who are like older value their time a lot more than younger people do.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, I don't want to do that. I want to do something fun. I've only got so much time left. I'm like, all right, more power to you. Like,
Yeah, perfect. That's exactly right. And I think you just, as wisdom kicks in as you get older, you just realize that, yeah, the time value of money is time is our only asset, really, that we really have. And every single day, we have one less day of life, right? And that's
mhm,
kind of a scary thing to think about in a way. And it's also empowering the other. I think about it all the time. I have a, I
mm,
have a 6 month old, 7 months old today, actually, and a 12-year-old daughter. And I just think about like every single day is one less day on my belt of life left,
yeah,
right? And so we have really made it a really important part of our life to make sure that we experience that. We want to experience life. We want to go places, do things, right?
mm,
Take the wealth and everything that I've been able to create over the last 12 years and put it to use, right? It doesn't do any good if we don't use it.
yeah.
So I know we're kind of getting a little sidetracked there, but
No, no. I was just say, let's talk about that. Let's talk about like you said, you guys do a ton of travel. To talk more about how you do that, and you're still able to run the business successfully.
yeah. So, one thing is my core business is very small, very lean. I have a leads manager and I have an assistant. My assistant also acts as my transaction coordinator.
Mm,
Um, and I have known her for a super long time. Precious is a VA. She's a lead manager for me, and she's worked for me
mhm,
for over 5 years. And she is a rock star. And so we basically the way that kind of another secret is our follow-up game is impeccable. Impeccable is the
mm,
only word for it, because not one lead that comes into my world or into my system gets left behind. Because when
mm,
I built my CRM to begin with, at the very very beginning, we built it with that in mind. I want to make sure that it was a thing back then called no lead left behind, where it was
mhm,
like, I want to make sure that there's never anything that falls through the cracks, right? And so we'll follow up with people. I've gotten deals this year that are from 5, 6, 7 years ago that are
mhm.
old leads, right?
Yeah.
And it's a timing thing by the time you finally get in touch with them, when they're ready to make a move, ready to make a sale, etc. So back to how we do it when I'm gone,
Mhm,
right? Everything still goes through the CRM, and the lead manager still is going to answer everything just like she normally would, right? Now, I'm not here to go on appointments and actually physically lock up deals,
mhm,
but that's never seemed to be a problem, because it's not like I'm gone for months at a time necessarily. Sometimes we'll be gone for 3 weeks, but not months at a time. And I'm able to plan around those appointments and those opportunities, so that we can still continue the conversation with these sellers and make sure that we're getting them what they need, um, even while I'm gone, right?
mm, mhm,
Another great thing about direct mail is direct mail is not like it's not like PPC or like online ads. So in online
mhm.
ads, the problem is that you have to answer them immediately.
Sure.
Why? Because if you've ever been, if you want to go out to eat or you want to go somewhere and you click on something, and you want an answer and they don't answer, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the next one every time, right?
Yep.
Well, the same thing applies if you're going to go sell your house, and you type in "sell my house fast" Arizona or whatever, and you click on the first link in Google and you call them, if they don't answer, you're going to click the next link, right?
Hmm.
With direct mail, it's a little bit different because somebody gets a letter in the mail. Maybe they call right away. Maybe they put it in the drawer for a month. Maybe they put it on the kitchen, on the refrigerator and talk about it with their significant other when they get home that night. Maybe they don't call me for a week or 2 weeks, right?
Hmm.
Well, the same thing applies. We don't answer any call live, which is interesting to some that are listening to this that maybe think that you need to answer live every single time.
Huh.
We've
Okay.
never had a problem with that. We actually have them leave a voicemail. If you call us, it will ring once and then it'll go to a voicemail. And it says, hey, you've reached HBSB Holdings, which is our primary company. Please leave us your name, address, or name, phone number, and the address of the property you're calling about. And a member of our team will call you back real soon. And that's never, ever, ever been a problem. We haven't lost deals
Huh.
because of it. We haven't had issues with it. Because we call them back right away. Everything is tracked. So,
Sure.
like when they call, they leave a voicemail, they get called back. If it's not today, it's first thing tomorrow,
But even
right?
if the lead manager is available, it doesn't go to them. It just goes to the voicemail, and then they get called back every time.
Yep, every time,
And,
every single time.
okay.
And so, I think that also allows for having such a lean team. We're able
Mm.
to, our marketing source allows us to be able to have that flexibility where we don't have to be so on call, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Because my business is a lifestyle business. Like that. That's what it is. It has created a lifestyle for me that I could have, I could have never believed to be real 10 years ago, right?
Hmm.
But um, I don't want to be on call 24/7 to everybody else. That's not what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Now, there's always room for improvement, right? Like my business could get better. I'm still heavily involved in my business, but I like
Mm.
doing that for now.
Mm.
And the key
Yeah.
is for right.
Yeah. And then, so you don't even take those you don't even run any offers on the phone when you're gone. They just kind of schedule it, know when you're back in town, and that's
I
kind
mean,
of how it.
the problem with and like I know for some people it works, and I don't. For me, the phone offer doesn't give me any opportunity to build rapport with the seller
Mhm.
to shoot them a low offer, right?
Mhm.
If I'm going in there and somebody's house is worth 300 grand and I'm
Mhm.
going in there and offering them 170, right? Over the phone, they're going to tell me to pound sand,
Mhm.
right? Most likely. Now, could that be a fallacy on me as well and just not be the truth? I don't know. I've given a lot of over the phone appointment or offers still over the years, and the majority of the time they say nah, kick rocks, you know.
Mhm.
But when I'm in their living room or I'm in their house with them and I'm actually going through them, explaining what's going on, building rapport, they understand who I am. It's a lot easier to make that offer where they say, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I think that
Yeah.
makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
So have you always had this philosophy of keeping a lean team, or did this kind of come from maybe trying to build a big team and deciding it really wasn't for you?
It's interesting because I've never had a big team by any means. I tried to hire a few people a couple of times, and it was just more headache than anything else. And I said, screw it, to be honest. Because my whole goal was like, I've never wanted to build like my whole goal has never been to build this big team of people that are going to run like that's just never been my thing. The whole reason why I ever wanted to get into this business to begin with was to and really wholesaling and flipping to begin with is
Mhm.
because it created quick cash, right? I
Mm.
can generate quick cash from this operation that then I could turn around and plug that money into other long-term investments that give me cash flow,
Mhm.
right? And that's ultimately what I've been able to do and will continue to do, for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Now, there's an argument to be said that like I could also build a small team around what I'm doing now to completely, you know, replace myself within my own business, and then this becomes another asset that just
Mhm.
keeps kicking off cash flow, and that could be true. I
Mhm.
haven't done it, so I can't say that to be real.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you that is real is that this business has allowed me to go buy a bunch of rentals, a lot of seller finance notes that I've been able to create. I'm an investor in a bunch of oil and gas funds and direct mineral deals,
Hmm.
hard money loans, title company, all things that are able to generate cash flow for me today that I would never have had I not got good at this business to begin with.
Yeah. So it sounds like you kind of look at this business as like the cash machine that allows you to fuel your investments and all those other things.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
that's that's the key what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, kind of back to where we were before, you said like that was kind of your one big inflection point in the business was kind of getting into the wholesaling side of it. What was like another big inflection point in your business between maybe 2015 and 2025?
Well, so as all of us know,
Hmm.
COVID, right? So 2020 happened. And this is actually the time when I started. I was like, oh, I need to go hire some people. I think it was in 2020 or maybe 2021. I was like, nobody knew what was going on. I thought the market was going to fall and everything was going to close down, and it was just I didn't know. And then the opposite happened. The exact
Yeah.
opposite happened, right? And so I was like, okay, I need to hire some more people. I need to go get other bodies in here. And I went and hired, I think, 3 or 5 or 6 different people, and they all sucked. They like it was just it was like I was babysitting these people that wanted everything done for them and just didn't want to work for it. And it was like, okay, well, this is a waste of my time. I'm just going to go crush it and do it myself.
Mm.
And that was it. And so really 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023 it was kind of that same thing. Like it was me, my assistant, and Precious, and we were
Hmm.
just running and gunning. And we were
Hmm.
traveling, we were making tons of money, and it was like this is it was great. And so really the only thing that's maybe changed today is that now that I have a young son,
Mm.
right, and we're looking to expand our family even further. I'm thinking about now more so as like instead of running and gunning and really just going to produce like I have in the past, what
Mm.
if I instead do go create that team of people that I can empower to go and create the life that I was able to create for myself, but do it on a team as a team, right?
Hmm.
Um, so that that's kind of the next logical spot.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of the same stuff, man. Mike, to be honest, it's been a lot of the same for a long time. It really
Yeah.
has. It's been a rinse and repeat model. It's been really quiet. It's been really not noisy, right? There's not a lot of noise. It's just rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and just rinse and repeat. And arguably, if you go back and look at some of the most successful people ever, sometimes doing the mundane
Yeah.
rinse and repeat is really what makes them successful. It's just
Yeah.
you wake up one day and all of a sudden you've done over 700 deals and you have all these other assets and it's like, okay, what got me there was rinse and repeat. That's what
Yeah.
got me there.
I, I think sometimes, and I mean, I'm guilty of this as entrepreneurs, sometimes we are always looking for like, what can we improve? What's the next thing? Right. But sometimes you're just like better off just, like you said, just doing what works, just continuing to do it day in and day out.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I can say that is, well, you ever heard of a book called Compound Effect?
Yep.
Have you heard of that book before?
Great book. Yeah.
There's another one that we just read for another mastermind. What the heck was that called? It was similar to the Compound Effect. Um, and now I'm blanking it. But anyways, doing the repeatable things day in and day out, right? As mundane as they are, as simple as they may are, as non-sexy as they may are,
Hmm.
they that's what separates successful from unsuccessful, right?
Yeah.
And even in times, I mean, I tell you what, this year, 2025, has been a whirlwind of just craziness. It is a very tough market out there here in Arizona.
Hmm.
Uh, that's what it is, right? But it's not going to be like this forever. and we're going to have another boom like we always do. Like Arizona specifically has booms all the time. They'll boom, bust, boom, bust, boom. I mean, Arizona
Mhm.
is notorious for that. And so the goal right now is do the mundane, put in the extra work that I have to do today, because on the other side of this hump, there's going to be a lot of opportunity that's going to be really, really fun again. It's not very fun today. It's really
Sure.
not,
Yeah.
but
Wh-
but that's okay.
What are some of the challenges that you guys have been facing in Arizona, or even you guys as a company over like the past year or two since the market has shifted?
So it's really only been over the last, um, well, I'll say over the last year, let's see, 2024 and 2025,
Hmm.
right? Our lead conversion is down. We're spending much more money. Our
Mm.
cost per contract is higher. Our cost per lead is higher, right? So our input cost is
Mm.
higher. It costs us more money today to do a deal than it has in the past
Yeah.
by about 30%. So quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Um, and now we're just dealing with that, right? It's trying to how are we able to generate better quality opportunities without spending so much money that then are
Mm.
able to capture. It would be okay if the spreads were equally as big, and that spreads are
Hmm.
being compressed as well,
Yeah.
because your days on market are much longer. Your input cost to remodel is much higher than it has been in the past, right? And so all of these things put together ultimately gets, um, that it compresses the margin.
Hmm. So,
So,
what are some of those unique things that you guys are trying to do to get those costs lower?
so what I've tried to do this year is actually going outside of direct mail to try to find other opportunities, and all that's shown me is actually direct mail is the best. So I have
It's
spent
your fear.
well, I spent a lot of money testing things this year that
Mm.
are, I that don't work for my model, and that did not end up panning out to be profitable.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
um, and sometimes you have to do that, right? Like,
Mm.
had I not gone and tested these opportunities and the things I'm talking about, then I might not know if they would have worked, right? But now I
Mm.
know. And so,
Yeah.
yes, there's a cost to do that. And it cost me revenue dollars. It cost me time. It cost me effort, headache,
Hmm.
uh, uncertainty, all the things. But it also led me to what I do know that works. And that's the same thing that's always worked.
Yeah.
So, the grass is not always greener. The object is not always shinier on the other
Hmm.
side, right? Um, and I think that's part of wisdom. That's what happens in time, and that's what happens as you go through experience. Because I'm a very firm believer, and you never lose. You
Hmm.
either win or you learn,
Yeah.
right? And those are your two options.
Yeah. So, what were some of the things that did not work?
PPC does not work for me. PPC does not work for me.
Sure.
Like the maybe what you think Facebook, YouTube, like the online
Hmm.
platforms where you think a lot of people are at, they don't work for my space. Those things
Mm.
don't work.
Hmm.
Um, because it's a lot of high level stuff out there, right? Like people aren't going on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. They're I don't think I don't have any verifiable data that shows me that those people that are out there are actually looking for motivation. Now, are you able to find it sometimes? I'm sure you are,
Yeah.
but and it may be a lower cost than other things, but we didn't have any luck on it.
Yeah.
We didn't have any luck on it. The other thing too is when I first got into real estate, the shiny object syndrome was real, right? Because you can make money. I told you, I learned about other ways to make money in real estate other than
Hmm.
being a realtor. Okay, so there's subject to deals. You can do some property subject to. You can flip. You can wholesale. You can wholetail. You can buy apartments. You can wholesale apartments. You can wholesale commercial buildings. You can do all of these things. And for the first year or so, when I was kind of trying to figure it all out, I was very shiny object centric, right? It was like, oh, let me go try this. Let me learn about this. Let me go buy somebody's course that
Hmm.
says teach you how to do this. But it all came down to I knew how to make it's back to what you know works, right? So I knew how to wholesale houses. I knew how to make money doing that. And that's what I always come back to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't
So
know how to answer your question. Sorry.
no, that was great. I mean, that was the answer I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how what are some of the cool places you guys have traveled while running this business?
Well, if we're going top places, we love Dubai. We love Dubai. Dubai is one of the coolest places on earth. There's so much to do there, and it's not just Dubai. It's also getting to Dubai. So,
Mm,
flying, flying Emirates first class is the best flying experience you'll ever have in your life. It is absolutely something everybody should do because you're able to take a shower in an airplane, whatever, 40,000 feet in the air. And that is a sweet, sweet thing to do. But I mean, we've been, even this year, like we just got back from Maui. We were in Maui for like 6 days. I think it was last week.
mhm,
No, 2 weeks ago. We were in Cancun a couple weeks before that. We've been all over Mexico this year just because with the newborn, trying to
mm,
stay kind of local. Um, but let's see, a couple of years ago, my wife and my daughter and we went on an around the world trip for Christmas. That was cool. That was really cool. We went over to Thailand, went over to Dubai. We did Dubai, Thailand. Um, uh, we went to a couple different places in Thailand. Ended up going to uh, let's see, South Korea. We ended up flying out of South Korea, and we also went to Singapore,
okay.
right? And
Yeah.
so it was like a 3.5 week trip. It was absolutely amazing. We literally left, and if you like look at the globe, we went all the way around the globe in that amount of time, and that was really cool. The only problem was is like we realized that we don't want to be away from family that long during Christmas because it was obviously
Sure.
really hard. We were in Thailand at an amazing, beautiful resort at the top of this mountain on Christmas with I mean, it was an amazing experience, but we didn't have our family, and so that part was hard.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, been all over Europe. Been to yeah, a lot of Mexico, all the Caribbean. We love
Mhm.
the Caribbean. We love the beach. We love going out and seeing the blue water everywhere. Um, I mean, you name it in the Caribbean, we've probably been there. I think we've been to most places at this point. So it's just been
Yeah.
it's been cool.
Cool.
Yeah,
So,
man.
you know, back to a comment you said earlier, you were mentioning how, like, obviously, like, the cost to acquire a deal has gone up about, 30% or so. Obviously, your margin's getting squeezed a little bit on the back end too. You know, we've experienced the same thing in our business in Jacksonville where just the cost to acquire a deal is, I don't know the percentage, but that sounds about right to me if I were to eyeball it. So,
Yep.
I was kind of surprised. I would have thought as the market came down that there would be more people who would kind of need to sell or would go this route because it's taking so long to sell on the market. What's your theory as to like why that hasn't happened?
Oh, there is. There's a lot more people that need to sell. They just don't have any money. They don't have any equity to sell. That's the thing.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're getting plenty of leads. That's not the problem. The challenge is they don't have the equity to be able to sell at a discount like they want to, right? Everybody wants to
Mm,
sell their house quickly for cash, but they want to sell it 5 cents under retail for cash. They think that's a deal, right? And
yeah.
so, um, the other thing though too is somebody that if you're going to sell your house, you got to live somewhere, right? And the
Mm,
majority of the U.S. population is sitting. If they have a loan on their house, they're probably
hmm
sitting at sub 4%, right,
hmm
or even sub 3% because they would have refinanced during COVID, and so
hmm
they're opting to not move. They'd rather remodel their own house or you know add a bedroom, whatever they're going to do to it. They'd rather stay there that because they know if they sell it, then they're going to have to roll up into a much larger down payment or a much larger payment per month to the
Mm,
next house they're going to go to. So they may be making a lateral move, meaning they sell their house, buy the same size house, but double their payment. That makes no
mm,
sense, right? And so because we don't have the buyer demand that's out there, people are opting to not. They're also not opting to sell.
mm.
You know, we're having to go. I mean, I'm going after distressed people. We're not going after retail buyers, right, or retail
Sure.
sellers. But
Yeah.
the same principle seems to apply. Like
Yeah.
they're trying, if they can hold on to their house, they'd rather do that.
Yeah. What do you think what do you think will have to shift in the market in order for like that to change? And obviously things probably aren't going to go back to the way they were in COVID, which was just crazy, but to shift to a more normalized market.
Well, I mean, arguably we are in a normalized market today, right? Like
Mm,
it is normal. It's fairly stagnant. In Arizona specifically, in Maricopa County, which is
mhm,
the majority of everywhere that I pretty much do all of my business. The largest county in Arizona, it's huge. For the most part, unless you're in luxury or in certain parts of the market, we're very stagnant. The line is flat or it's going down as far as prices go.
mm,
Okay, and arguably too, COVID was great in the moment, but it wasn't good for the overall because
mhm,
all that happened during that time is the prices of the homes skyrocketed. Why?
mhm,
Because interest rates were what they were. I mean, I remember
mhm,
it was like 2, 3%, right?
mhm,
And so as soon as the interest rates came up to a normal level, which they're at today, six,
mhm,
6.5, that's normal,
mhm,
right? But the house prices doubled, right? Like the first house I ever bought, I bought it for $172,000. I sold it for 350, and I thought I made out like a bandit.
mhm.
And during COVID and probably now, it was worth like 550, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, like I paid 172 for this house. And of
Yeah.
course, I renovated it a couple times, and I love that house. It was great. Hopefully, at some point, I get to buy it back again. But um, there's that wasn't good for the economy. That wasn't good for people. It was great for
Mhm.
us during the time because we made so much money, but it wasn't good for the overall people. And
Yeah.
so, if the Fed goes and lowers interest rates again to spur economic activity, which I think they may. I don't. I think they're meeting this month in October. If not,
Mhm,
yeah, they are this month. But even if they lowered a quarter point, it doesn't do much. That doesn't do
mhm.
much. Also, interest rates for mortgages are not based on the Fed funds rate, right? They're
Yeah.
based on the 10-year Treasury rate, which doesn't. They're not the same. So,
Mhm.
but if the government steps in to try to spur economic activity some way, I mean, I that could change how it's going. I don't know. My
Yeah.
crystal ball seems to have broken years ago, and it won't work. I don't know.
Fair enough.
I wish I had the answer. Like I wish I could point in the right direction, say this is what we need to do, but it just arguably we got to slow and steady it from here on. We got to continue doing what like we got to keep working. Like it shouldn't. It was too easy back then. It shouldn't be that easy. I mean, I
Mhm.
loved it. Don't get me wrong. It shouldn't be that easy. And so
Yeah.
I think we're just going to go into a normal market on, kind of how things are going to operate on a normal basis and things are going to stabilize. Home prices are going to have to come down, right? They're going to
Mhm,
continue to have to come down. People are going to have
mhm,
to foreclose on their house if they're underwater, right? There
mhm,
is already, we are already starting to see that and that's already starting to happen. And that's a reality, right?
mhm.
But eventually we'll get back down to a normal level. And the distressed homeowner with a 30-year-old house that, you know, doesn't want to repair it, that maybe somebody inherited it, somebody passed away, maybe they just don't want to deal with a realtor, whatever their reason is, like there's always opportunities like that are out there.
Yeah.
And we'll
Yeah.
see them.
You said something interesting earlier, which is you either win or you learn. And I know over the years, is there one lesson that sticks out to you that comes to mind was like, yeah, I really learned something from this and that allowed you to propel your business forward?
Um, I don't think that there was like well, there's always times like that you kind of understand. So one example, it's kind of unrelated to real estate, but earlier this year,
Mm.
I was in a oil and gas direct deal. It was
Yeah.
a new it was a new drill deal. Okay, and I lost all my
Hmm.
money. We hit water in the well. So basically, they found a plot of land, thought there was oil on it. We had to get the rig together, like clear out the land, develop this little drill site. And once we drilled, even though there was so much homework that was done, there were reports and like they were positive there was oil there. By the time we dug it and drilled it, there was water. There was no oil. I lost
Mm.
all my money. And why is that important that I bring that up? Because I had no control in that deal. I'm not drilling. I'm not a driller, right? I'm not an
Hmm.
oil guy. I just had some money I put into it. I lost 150 grand in that deal, right?
Hmm.
Now, it wasn't the operator's fault. He lost money too because and the only reason why like this it would have been a 7x model, meaning I would have if we would have hit oil, I would have 7x my money in like a year, which would have
Hmm.
been that would have been a great this would have been a great year,
Yeah.
been an amazing year. But that didn't happen. And so when I think to myself, like, okay, what would I do next time so that I don't make that
Hmm.
same mistake? And there's a couple of things. I still love oil and gas. I think it's very profitable and a really good thing to do. But going to start a new well, actually, I probably would do it again. To be honest, I would do it again because I mean, I call this moonshot. So like
Yeah.
10% of my net worth, I'm willing to moonshot, right? And so it's like I would rather take a chunk of money and go try to 7x that money in a year, right?
Hmm.
With the opportunity to maybe lose it, right?
Yeah. True.
But at the time and at the moment, so this happened like we got the word like January 3rd, right? Beginning of the
Mhm.
year of this year. And it was like, man, I felt defeated to begin with at the beginning of this year because it's like it's day 3 and I'm already losing, right?
Yeah.
But I got to look at what that opportunity was. We knew what it was going into it. It just didn't turn
Mm.
out the way that we thought it was gonna go. And
Mm.
so, was I upset about it? Am I still upset about it? Sure. But would I do it again? Yeah, I would because
Mhm.
of the opportunity that's there.
Yeah.
Um, I think too, something you brought up a while ago as well is like I've learned from watching others and their mistakes that they've done, right?
Mhm.
People that have gone into partnerships with each other because they thought that it was going to make it easier when all they ended up doing was cause. Sure, they might have made a bunch of money in a short amount of time because of something going on in the market or something, but they ended up splitting up and maybe they had a bad partnership. Maybe it's lawsuits that turn into them. They end up hating each other at the end, etc. Or people that have gone and built massive teams just to consolidate back down to now today they're back down to a small team, right?
Mhm.
And it's like I have learned through that. So like I've
Mhm.
watched this happen, and there's a place to something to be said about during the time when they're expanding. There's nothing wrong with expansion if that's what you want to do, but know that
Mhm.
it comes with the headaches, the frustrations, the things that aren't going to work out like you want them to. And now you don't just have the real estate got to deal with. Now you got a people problem because you got to deal with people, and people can think and they have emotions and they get sick and they're tired and they make mistakes and all the shit that or all the stuff. Sorry, my language
Yeah.
that inherently comes with people, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like I've learned through that
Mm.
maybe that's not the route that I wanted to go.
Sure.
at one point in my career, I thought that's what I wanted. I thought that's exactly what I wanted. I want to go build this big, huge team and whatever. But then it's like, no, I really don't because, or I haven't up until now. And
Yeah.
maybe I'm not saying I want to right now either, but, I haven't wanted to so much in the past. I've actually gone and done it.
Mm,
So, that's probably, those are probably a couple things I could bring up,
yeah. Gotcha. Well,
you
we're
know.
getting close to the end here, and there's always two questions I ask at the end of the show. And the first one is, what is the craziest or most uncomfortable situation that you have ever experienced in a real estate deal?
So, I knew about this question actually before the show started, and I had to kind of think about it a little bit. The one thing that came to mind actually happened on my wedding day. So, um, we were getting married, and I was supposed to close this deal and make $150,000 on my wedding day. What a day it would have been, right? Not only am I getting married to the love of my life, and we got married in Kauai, Hawaii. It was around all our friends and family. It was amazing. What a day it would have been to also get a $150,000 check deposited in my bank account, right? And anyways, that didn't happen. We got married, and I ended up finding out that the seller had filed a memorandum that basically was clouding title. She wasn't going to close, and we ended up having to go on and sue this seller for specific performance and breach of contract. And it took me 9 months and about $50,000 of my money to my attorneys to get this deal closed. And at the end of the day, I still made out. We still profited on the deal, but it wasn't the $150,000 I was thinking of. That was
Yeah,
one that just really, really caught me because that day was supposed to be such a special day, and that would have been the icing, the cherry on top, so to speak.
sure.
Uh, and it just that didn't happen. So
Yeah,
that's what I can say.
yeah. Well, the second one I have is